my name is Dr. Hayley Poole. I'm a clinical psychologist specialising in pelvic pain. Endometriosis can be challenging not just for the individual but also the wider system around them, impacting on relationships, family, sex and intimacy, social life and work. Compounding this can be issues around mood such as anger, depression, anxiety, maybe feelings of guilt, loss of self-esteem and confidence.
I think the biggest feeling, I struggled for the word for a long time, I think it's loss.
So the three main feelings I feel due to endo are guilt, sadness and frustration.
Endometriosis can have a significant impact on sex and intimacy for couples. Painful sex, otherwise known as dyspareunia, is very common, compounded by issues such as loss of desire, fatigue, the impact of medication, mood, loss of self-esteem and confidence. The couples may feel guilty, the female partner may feel they are letting their partner down, whereas the partner may feel they are causing their partner additional pain and also may feel guilty for expressing a sexual need in the first place.
The biggest part of endo for me is it gives me such low libido. Sam as a man has high libido. To put it bluntly, when he wants it, 80% of the time I don't. And it's not because of him, there's definitely the attraction there and there's the love, but it's just my body doesn't want it, and it's hard because I feel like I'm forcing my body, and obviously also physically it's painful.
I think it's affected me in the sense that I have to be cautious as well. If we want to have sexual intercourse, it's like I've always got it back in my mind, am I going to hurt her, is it hurting her, is she just doing it for the sake of it? So like mentally it's just like always having that at the back of your mind. But then I feel quite bad even if we were to have it and I know she's in pain, I'll just be like, I can't do it. So mentally it provides a mental block for me.
It's not even sometimes the sex, it's even if he wants a hug and my body's just not, I'm just in pain or I'm just uncomfortable, then I'll just push him away, I'm like, no. So we have a lot of arguments and disagreements in that sense, because I'm obviously hurting his feelings because he knows it's down to the endo, but sometimes you can't help but take it personally, so we have to speak about it. So perhaps that will happen in the evening, and in the morning I'll say, look, I'm sorry, I was just feeling like this, and you know that I get like this, and be a bit understanding. So it's a bit of pressure on him to constantly understand.
Sometimes it's frustrating, it's obviously being a man and all that. You sometimes want that intimacy, and then sometimes if you see it with other couples and etc, you think you want the same.
A theme of loss is very common, and people talk about how their sex life should be or how it used to be. What can happen is couples begin to avoid intimacy altogether, and this can result in an increasing sense of isolation from each other.
I'll never instigate sex because I know that it can be painful for Caitlin, so I just don't want to. One, I don't know if she'll be in the mood, and two, if she's in a lot of pain, I just think, well, it's just leave her to it. So it's one of those things which, yes, it's important in a relationship, but you're prepared to sacrifice regular sex for the comfort of your girlfriend.
I think with endometriosis, I think it makes sex and intimacy very different things. I think we can be really intimate and close, without having to have sex, because all in all that's sort of better because I'm not in pain afterwards or during. And I think that makes us both happier and more comfortable. So with sex it's not great, but I think with intimacy it's completely different. I think because I spend quite a lot of time in bed or in the bath, you'll sit with me next to me in the bath and talk, which is really great, and I think we wouldn't do if it wasn't for endo. A lot of cuddles, which is nice. So yeah, good and bad.
It's important for couples to continue to show intimacy in their relationship. Communication is a key aspect of this, talking about fears, worries, expectations of each other. Also, continuing to show intimacy can be very important, and this could be touching, cuddling, kissing, and trying to reassure each other that this is okay can bring about a new sense of closeness. Couples often worry about having children and the impacts that endometriosis may have on fertility, and this is something that is commonly raised at diagnosis. 30 to 50% of women will have issues around fertility, but it's still possible to naturally conceive with endometriosis.
We know we want kids sometime in the next, I don't know, 5-10 years, whatever, but I've absolutely no idea how my disease will impact the ability to get pregnant, and who knows if there's anything
if there's anything wrong with me.
Yeah. So, but we have been quite practical and talked about other alternatives like adoption and fostering.
Yeah.
And it does bring on sort of a bit of anxious feelings and worried feelings when you think about it, but because I want to get the disease under control before I think about having children, there's nothing I can do until we start trying. We've got the dog.
Yeah, the dog's the next best thing, I guess.
Partners of people with endometriosis may also experience depression, anger, anxiety, but often excessive worry is evident, worry about not being able to help their partner, not maybe fully understanding how they can relieve or help with symptoms. Also, people can feel guilty about expressing their own worries or concerns about other stresses in their life, and this can often lead to an increased sense of isolation.
Sam's had to make an awful lot of adjustments to support me, and you almost think actually it's quite hard for the person that doesn't have endo, because even in social situations, if we're going out or if we're going out on a night drinking, for example, he'll always be like, have you had water? Come back to me after an hour with his friends, do you want water? Are you okay? Are you feeling okay? Are you feeling tired? Shall we go home? You know, making allowances for me.
When I have my bad days, like, you don't want to go out and leave me, even though I'm quite happy in bed with the dog and the TV, and sometimes it can be grumpy. And I think, I know obviously being in pain is difficult, but it's also hard for me to see how hard it is for a male to see me in pain. That's difficult.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the hardest things, because you just want to be able to do more than just like make you comfortable and just bring you stuff to take your mind off it. But you can never take the mind off the pain, so it's just frustrating that you can't do anything.
Communicating effectively is a key aspect of coping with any chronic condition. Being able to openly talk about your fears, worries, expectations can be really helpful. I'd advise couples to set aside a specific time to sit and talk about their worries and concerns. We live very busy lives, and it can be very difficult to find a stress-free and quiet time, but I would recommend that this can be really helpful in terms of couples thoroughly understanding each other's perspective. If you find conflict or tension evolves during this process, I would recommend walking away and coming back and talking to each other when you're both feeling a bit calmer.
I think it all depends on the couples as well. It's like, if you talk through it, then that's probably 70% of the way there, and just finding ways of dealing with it. It's just like
communication. Don't expect your partner to know how you're feeling. I think a thing that women generally do is think their partner can mind read. So tell your partner what you're feeling, aches, pains, emotions, because how are they supposed to empathize if you don't tell them?
If couples find they are struggling to communicate, they can speak to their doctor, who can refer them to a psychologist or therapist who can provide a safe space where couples can feel supported and heard.